Yo. The Kids official sliding on the instrumental. Nordic combos, twist your mental like forbidden.
Peace to the public and power to the people.
What's good? What's really? We in here being the space where the vulnerable are powerful, and where the most gangster thing you could do is serve. We are all the way live.
We are absolutely indeed all the way live, man. It's an absolute pleasure to be with each and every one of y'all on this show. Something that we do every single week. My brother Miles and my brother Miles. You know, this is one of those weeks where I'm so excited. I say this every week, but generally speaking, this is one of those weeks where I cannot wait to actually be able to speak to you, you know? When the world seems in disarray of sorts, you're the person that I most enjoy being able to make sense out of it, man. And we curate the show every single week for a host of reasons, but no reason is more important than the fact that we understand that people are going through it, man. Depression is at an all-time high, suicide is at an all-time high, addiction is at an all-time high, loneliness is at an all-time high. So this show is cultivated, curated content for a bit of positive energy that you can come through, take with you, and go about the day, get some laughs, get some information, get some stuff that you can sound cool around your friends saying. We do that without falter. We do that every single week, and this week ain't no different, man. Welcome to the show.
Yes, sir. We in this thing, man, trying to make sense of the world in real time. And if we can't figure it out, we just going to be confused together. And being together makes everything better. Hold your head out there. If you are going through any of the things that my brother just mentioned, this show is for you, and it is brought to you via Birmingham, via the UK, via our boy Hassan. You know what I'm saying? Shout out Hassan, big Hassan in the building. Boy. Big love in the building, you feel me? We also have Big SA in the building, my brother's way in the building. Yes, sir. How you feeling over there, broski?
Sexy, dog. I'm feeling real sexy lately. Feeling good.
Yeah, you look it. It's on you.
Thank you, buddy.
It's on you. You feel
likewise.
Me? You know what else is sexy is these new visuals we got on here. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to YouTube famo. We appreciate y'all tuning in. We appreciate y'all checking us out. But shout out to y'all out there on the audio platforms as well. It's a whole family ting. This show is brought to you via Chicago, the city that I belong to, the city that I love, the city that was cared for by the Potawatomi people, the Council of the Three Fires, those First Nations, indigenous people that cared for this land for anybody thought to make something or anything out of it. And the violence done to remove them from this land is inseparable from the violence that we see in this city today, this country today, and this world today. Know your history, acknowledge the past, heal and move forward. That's what we're about on this show. That's why we lift up love for indigenous people the world over. That's why we lift up love for black and brown people the world over. And we lift up love for you all over, wherever you may be at. That's also how you know that the intro is over. What a show we got for y'all today.
Yeah, I get that, but is we live though? Is we like all the way live though? You heard?
Yo.
One of the things that we always say about the show, man, is that it's the place where impact meets art and where art meets impact. This week ain't no different. My brother Miles Xavier is a community activist, a community organizer behind some of the most important activations, plannings, and events that are being held in order to confront violence against youth prevention within the city of Chicago. I myself am an activist inspired by my brother. Together we run a foundation. We've delivered over millions of meals. We're handing out computers. We're handing out a lot. We're doing a lot. Man, what are we talking about today?
Man, it's a lot to talk about. It's a lot to cover. But first, let's check in real quick. You know what I'm saying?
I like that you do that, man. I like that you always like to ground us with checking in with each other, man.
Yeah, well, in no small part because I know my boy has been going through it. You listed off all the things that you are involved in, all the ways that you get activated for the people. But this week you've been doing that minus some very critical equipment. You know what I'm saying? I know the computer went down on you. I know that's hard times for anybody who relies on that to get work done. So how you feeling? How your spirits? What's it been like in this little bit of a tech drought for you?
It's not even one of those cases where it's like, oh yeah, yeah, I don't have my laptop, peace and quiet. No, it's extremely inconvenient to not have a computer, especially for a show like this. There's so many little things that are done in order to ensure that the quality of this thing is just done at its highest level. And as a creative, you get frustrated when you aren't able to give your full creative self. So kind of just going through that a little bit, accepting that the content of the show is the most important thing of it, and then everything else will continue to build. So a little bummed, but I'm in good spirits coming into today for sure.
Yeah, well, hope you know that your presence is all that is required. You know what I'm saying? The fam is in here, the vibes is in here. We're gonna be just fine. And we appreciate you, big dog.
Hey man, appreciate you. You tell me how you doing, how you coming in. You've been jumping in and out of board meetings, talking about saving the world, saving Chicago. How you keeping up with that, bro?
I'm good, man. No shortage of ways to get activated during summertime Chicago. So trying to give kids something to do, trying to get them paid, whatever that might be. Lots of festivals, lots of events. We have our historical Southside Bike Tour next week. So that's the big event on the horizon for me. I'm going to be on the trolley, you know what I'm saying, giving people a tour of the Southside, talking about both the harm and the strengths that are rooted in our community. So looking forward to that for sure. But I was trying to be like you know what I'm saying? I was trying to get like you this weekend. For those of y'all who don't know and can't tell just by how my brother, keeps himself together. This is a cool dude. This is an art-focused dude. We talked about on the last episode how when Zway thinks about just where he be at, it's walking through galleries, looking fly, which I also aspire to. So there was a dope gallery on campus, very, very close to my job, that makes me want to holla. Art, Death, and Imprisonment at the Logan Center for the Arts. Super, super dope gallery. So yesterday, I was running around, running some errands, was going by campus, was like, yo, let's roll up in there. You know what I'm saying? So I'm feeling good. You know what I'm saying? It's funny. It's interesting too, cause it was a Saturday, right? So I'm do-ragged up, but I'm on campus around my job. So that's
you do-ragged at the job, Miles?
So what? So it was on a whim, right? So we was just going out running errands. I'm do-rag and bucket hat, right? And then we going by campus. It's like, oh, let's stop in this cafe and then hit this gallery. And as soon as I walked in the cafe on campus, I was like, oh, snap, that's right. I'm do-ragged up at the job. Which is a funny feeling, right? Because there's nothing wrong with wearing a do-rag. But when you get
do-rag etiquette.
When you get in the professional setting, you're like, I could run into one of my coworkers. They've never seen me in a do-rag. This could be interesting. Thankfully, I didn't have any run-ins like that. But that's important to the story, right? Because when you're wearing a do-rag, you feel good. You feel there's a certain do-rag swag that comes with that, right?
Hey, Durag's way is an entire persona on it. So it's like I put that on, I turn into Durag Sasha Fierce.
Durag Sasha Fierce. Why do we always come up with the best names for the episode within the first 10 minutes after we've already named the joint? Durag Sasha Fierce.
If we could change the names of the episode, we'd be changing the names of these episodes throughout the entire show. It would be 7 different names.
That's true. Well, I'm glad you can acknowledge that additional persona that comes on with the do-rag. So I'm do-rag Miles, right? Walking around campus, you know what I'm saying? Feeling good. And I go to check out this gallery, right? And the gallery has art of all different sorts of mediums. So sculptures, painted art, sketches, written poems, audio, like music, that all made by people who were incarcerated during the pandemic, and talking about how terrifying, how uncertain, and how difficult it was to be incarcerated, disconnected from the world, seeing this global crisis happening, having that crisis come into prisons, start taking folks out, all the misinformation that's going back and forth, and the limited ability that you have while incarcerated to actually figure out what's going on, to even communicate with friends and family. The art crafted based on that experience was so powerful. So Durag Miles steps in, and within 5 minutes, I am bawling, son. Like
In your durag?
in my durag, dude. I am like tears flowing. There's
I don't think
documentary.
you're allowed to cry while wearing a durag, but go on.
But that is why I had to mention that I was wearing the durag, because you don't put on a durag if you plan on crying that day.
That's irresponsible.
word. You're representing do-ragged up dudes everywhere, and to cry in that do-rag, that's toxic masculinity. Matter of fact, we're gonna get to that later in the
You're
show.
representing dudes.
I'm not touching that one. Not gonna touch. I'm not gonna touch that one. But yeah, but nah, no cap, bro. I walked in.
No
The first
cap.
thing I saw, you feel me? You feel me? So I walk in, and the first thing that I see is this. It's an excerpt from a documentary accompanied by a music video, and it's the voices of folks who are incarcerated reading letters they wrote to loved ones during the pandemic, and just hearing the desperation, hearing how scared grown men, some of the dudes that we often think of as the toughest simply because they're incarcerated. It's not always the case, but like just to hear these guys breaking down over not knowing what to do, not knowing if their friends and family was all right, that got to me. That hit me hard, made me think of some of the people I know that are in spaces of confinement, and it just, yeah, man, the tears was flowing straight up. I had a good do-rag cry. But the exhibit was absolutely beautiful. They also have a Spotify playlist curated by those incarcerated individuals, songs that help them get through this period. So we'll drop that for y'all too. But couldn't think of a better artist or impact spotlight than some of the artists that you're seeing on screen right now, as well as some of the incarcerated folks that contributed their art to this gallery. So the Makes Me Wanna Holla exhibit, if you're in the Chicago area, check it out at the Logan Arts Center. Highly recommend. Bring your do-rag and a box of tissues.
What a great ad for the place. But that being said, it's really dope that you went to go do that. I remember after COVID in 2021, I went to the to the city of Exeter's prison to spend time with the prisoners over there, bring them different books that they could read and understand what it was like during COVID for them. While there was a riot of sorts. A little bit of a prison riot happened while I was there.
Little prison riot, no big deal. You know what I'm saying? What you do today? Prison riot. Light work.
What actually was quite trippy about that experience is that when we get there to the prison, it's old school prison, so it's these huge walls. Like, they get to open this door. It's gonna take a few people to open it for you. But anyways, we open it, we get inside. The riot kind of happens, right? But everyone who's guiding us is very chill while it's happening. It's myself and my brother Cornel together, who is still at the University of Exeter doing incredible work. We've interviewed Cornel on the show before.
Yeah, shout out the boy.
So we went together, and it all started off a conversation with him being like, hey, let's do some impact stuff together. And we ideated, we came up with a call. We're like, let's take some books to prisoners. And we did that. It was such a great experience. But you understand that during COVID, the suicide rate for prisoners really escalated and was quite sky high. So prisons were particularly impacted by COVID, and the lengths and the regulations that they put within prisons were very, very drastic, So you think about how tough it was to be locked up in your home. These guys are in prison already locked up, and then new measures to keep them locked up really did a number on them. So you being able to read out things like the letters that they wrote during that time and whatnot, I can only imagine how wild that was.
Yeah. Yo, and if we have any incarcerated listeners or family members of incarcerated listeners, hold your head, man. That's no joke. That's hard, and it's okay to feel that.
It is absolutely okay to be able to feel that. Miles, there's so much we need to be able to speak about. One of the things that I think is important that you highlighted is the playlist that these prisoners were listed that they made together. So we're just gonna play a bit of music off of that. I found it over here. Shout out to our Spotify team. I think you're gonna enjoy it. Let's go ahead and share the first song off of the Prisoners playlist.
12 hours. Billy Aiden.
Nah. Come on, son. I was so proud of you for finding it. I was hype. I was like, whoa, he pulled it up, man. Nah, fam. I mean, I don't know. I know that this isn't the first song on their playlist, but I can't say for sure that it's not on there. So
You cannot, Miles. And because of that, we're gonna go ahead and talk about some of the things that we think we do know coming up onto our next segment. Let's get into StumbleUpon.
all right. Touchy topic, sensitive topic. You know what I'm saying? A lot of landmines in this one. You feel me? You feel me? Continuing a trend of men stepping out on ledges, and well, actually, Jonah didn't even step out on a ledge, right? He got his DMs posted, or he got his text messages posted. But in a continuing series of dudes, trying to, some say control, others say set boundaries with their partner, and the internet is on their ass. So Jonah Hill, texts come out. His lady happens to be a surfer. He does not want her surfing with dudes. He does not want her taking bikini pics. He's got a whole laundry list of what he calls boundaries that he said, look, it's either you abide by this or I'm out of here. And the internet took that as toxic masculinity, took that as my man trying to control his partner. And so I wanted to bring this to you. You know, you're one of the most level-headed people I know when it comes to relationships. You're a fair-minded person. So I wanted to see what you thought of this, you know?
You hear that, baby? I'm fair-minded.
Yeah, big fair-minded, you know?
Remember that. Remember who you're talking to. This show's gonna get me in trouble in my relationship, by the way.
That's part of it. That's the sacrifice we make.
It's the sacrifice.
Yep.
Nah, poor man.
Well, my girls knows what we're talking about today. I got a fake kiss on the way in here. About to do the show, baby. Go ahead.
Oh man, that's so great.
Go ahead today.
But that being said, Miles, look at that. Getting a call during a show. How unprofessional. What did he say? Read the laundry list, actually. I want to hear what he said.
Oh man.
Just bring it up.
Let's see. Gotta give me 1 second. Let me bring up this man's list of boundary demands.
Bring up the whole thing, and let's actually see what he says, and I'll go off of he say, because I feel like this is one of those things that hearing the title might make one have to feel a certain way, but like let's actually talk about what he said.
And it's interesting because we'll get into them, we'll read them, because I think even in how you interpret it makes a difference in how you might respond to what he's saying. So give me 1 second. Okay,
Dying on the Jonah Hill. God
yes,
damn it.
yes, sir. All right. So my man said, plain and simple, if you need surfing with men, boundaryless, inappropriate friendships with men, to model, which is broad. That's we getting broad. To post pictures of yourself in a bathing suit. To post sexual pictures. Friendships with women who are in unstable places and from your wild recent past beyond getting a lunch or coffee or something respectful. So basically he said, if you need any of those things, I am not the right partner for you. If these things bring you to a place of happiness, I support it and there will be no hard feelings. These are my boundaries for romantic partnership. My boundaries with you based on the ways these actions have hurt our trust.
Misogynist.
Break it down. Why though?
No,
Why
man.
though?
I mean, look. This is the thing, right? The communication is there, and communication is everything. I think this is what Zwig Gila, the fair-minded, certified lover boy, believes, right? And this is something that I've carried with me for a while. I believe in being the complete, honest version of yourself, and put that out there in front of the people that you want to engage with in an intimate manner, and how they decide to be able to deal with it is with them. What I don't think is okay is if you feel a certain type of way about maybe how your partner is dressing or whatever the case is, and then you don't say something and let that eat you up inside, and then you go later, that's when you start gaslighting and doing all these other sorts of things, right? Because you're not communicating what your boundaries are and how you feel. Listen, I like how many dudes you know have talked about their boundaries for real,
In a healthy way?
in a healthy way? Because that sounded quite healthy, bro.
It did. Well, so here's the thing, right? Here's the thing. And this is what I mean by there's two ways to interpret this, right? Because the first one, right, is no surfing with men, right? Now, I don't know, Mr. Hill. Wow, why you what? What's good?
No surfing with men. Come on, Jonah Hill. Come on, Jonah Hill. The whole sport is men.
So this is
Wow.
I don't know Jonah Hill, right? But as a dude who has dated women that attract a lot of attention, right? There's two ways to interpret this. Either my man is bugging and he's saying, look, you can't no surfing while there are other men in the ocean. Verify that the ocean is manless before you take your board and paddle on out there. That is undeniably crazy. That's crazy.
That's hilarious.
But if my man is saying, and I'm looking at rule number 2, which informs there's a lot to read between the lines here if you're a dude, right? Because rule number 1 is no surfing with men. Rule number 2 is no boundaryless, inappropriate friendships with men. Now, if your man can describe relationships you have with the opposite sex as boundaryless, and you know what he's talking about,
I know exactly what that means.
it means you've been out here getting frisky.
Boundary, man. Making all that boundaryless stuff. Listen, dude, there's no underestimating how horny the surfing community is. Clearly, there's a lot of boundaryless things that happen. So, you know.
Yo, you just brought me back to, don't you have a t-shirt that says like Mr. Sex's Wax Surf Shop? Don't you have a don't look at me like you don't know what I'm talking about. That's a real thing. That's a real
Mr.
thing.
Sex Wax Surf Shop. Yeah, you know.
There you go.
That's surfer call. Listen, this is the thing, bro.
But hold up. Just let me, because if he's saying you can't swim in the ocean with any men at all, that's crazy. But if he's saying don't invite a dude or go out with just a group of dudes and you're going out surfing with them, like you can't just. Surfing could be a very romantic activity. If you're doing it for a competition, that's cool. If you're doing it for practice, that's cool. But don't
What
be.
type of surfing do you have in your mind, bro? You think two people on a board there together on top of each other and just swim?
Yo, on top of each other, paddling on the same board is crazy, son. But nah, I could see how one-on-one surfing with the opposite sex as just an outing. I could see how that would make my girl uncomfortable, right? If I was surfing with another woman outside of competitions, outside of trainings, but we just get together, we go out surfing. You know what I'm saying? I could see how if you've had issues in your relationship based on those type of interactions, where you could be like, bruh, no individual solo surfing trips with men.
I get it. You find surfer dudes sexy. It's cool, bro.
I find the sea sexy, right? The sea is sexy in itself. The beach is a sexy place.
Damn, you good. You real good.
You feel me? You feel me?
That's what my girl afraid of. My girl afraid about how I feel about the ocean.
It's in the name. It's in my name. You know I love the ocean. And I'm just saying, don't go to a sexy place looking sexy with somebody else who's looking sexy.
You tripping.
I could see I'm tripping.
You're tripping. You're tripping. That's like saying like don't go to the gym with dudes, or like don't go play volleyball with dudes, or like don't go, bro. This most athletic attire is sexy attire, so that can't be just because like. And also surfers, dude, they're wearing full bodysuits, dog. Like what's sexy about that?
Well, so I'm glad you said that because my man doesn't talk about bodysuits in these texts. My man talks
Damn,
about straight bikinis. My man specifically listed, and see, and look, man, I wanna first acknowledge, bro, like, because a lot of this debate is she was a surfer when you met her, so she should be able to do her thing, right?
He wrong about that, yeah.
And to a certain extent, I support that. I feel that. To your point about all athletic attire could be viewed as sexy attire, right? So you can't, like you said, go work out with a partner of the opposite sex. But if you go in to work out with that partner of the opposite sex, and now I'm on your Instagram and I see him helping you out with the squats, he's squatting with you, he's behind you on the squats, right?
Getting sexy.
He's laying your legs over your head, stretching. You know what I'm saying? He's helping you stretch your legs over your head. You know, little
Nigga,
poom
when
poom
was
up
the
in
last
there.
time you at the gym?
It's been a minute, but I seen the IG. I see what goes on there. I see what goes on there. Little fitness couples training, getting their little freak on. I seen it. So if you go out to work out or surf with your little one-on-one partner, and I'm cool with that, but then I turn around and that's what I see is y'all getting a little handsy, a little frisky in your little athletic wear, and then I set that boundary, I could see where that could be healthy. So basically what I'm saying is like there's a way to interpret all of these rules. If the most extreme version of these rules, not based on any past transgression in the relationship, my man is bugging. But I could see based on his tone and having seen dudes that are worried about their girl stepping out and having that very same tone based on the way that the lady be acting, I could see how this isn't the craziest thing.
He's using receipts for sure. He's being very specific.
He's
with
being
this
very
part.
specific. My man is being very specific.
This is my question, right? Because I do agree with how you met her is if that's who she was when you met her, then that should be it, right? And that goes on both sides. Like if you get with the dude that posts a certain type of material and you willingly go in there, then you are choosing to go in there, right?
But we also, once we start to get serious with a person, our expectations on exclusive behavior start to shift in most relationships, right? When your girl met you, you was out here, right?
Hey, what are you talking about?
We'll keep it PG, but like even on the level of like, if you meet me out somewhere and I'm buying drinks, if how we meet is I buy drinks for you and your girls and then come and introduce myself, you met me buying drinks for females, right? That doesn't mean that once we're in a relationship and we're together now, it's cool for me to continue going out buying drinks for females because I know what that makes them think. I know what type of attention comes with that, the type of interactions that follow that. So at some point in our relationship, because we're together, some of the things that I was doing before we got together should change, no?
I get that, yeah. The part that I don't agree with maybe is the outfit attire and all that, right? Like if you met her wearing bikinis and hanging out with the surfer dudes, like so be it, right? Like that's how you met this person. The question that I have, but you bring up a very good point. The question that I have is like, say you meet somebody and in the situation that you meet them in, all of these things don't show up. When is actually a right time to speak about boundaries with a hun that you just met?
I think in a healthy relationship,
And don't give me your PC answer, bro. Like give me
well, I think that conversation also often starts with what are we, right? There's a time we've been hanging out, we've been there's no disrespect.
That's muscle memory, son. That's muscle memory. This right here.
No disrespect. No disrespect. But
parentheses, in quotes, that's muscle memory.
so when that conversation comes up, the what are we conversation, that conversation often revolves around exclusivity. And I think that's a fantastic time to lay out just because what are we? We're together. What does that mean? Right. And that's a time to discuss some of the habits that your partner may have that you might hope to or expect to change. Right. We had a really good, in the comments, we have a question. How much of what Jonah Hill is saying is boundaries and how much of that is refusing to deal with his insecurities, right? That's real. That's real. But I think part of the issue with this particular conversation is a lot of those elements of relationships that change when we become exclusive are based on insecurity, right? Take the idea of liking somebody's post on IG, right? Me, as a man with a lady, I know not to do that. I know not to like a whole bunch of other pictures of females on Instagram. Why?
Not worth the fight.
Because not worth the fight. Because I can see somebody's picture and I can like it for a million different reasons, right? I can know somebody's going through something and be like, I'm gonna give them that little boost. I can like the way they put together the photo, you know what I'm saying? Or it could be some lustful reasons behind that. But because there's so many different reasons I could like a photo, the idea that I can't like too many other girls' photos on IG often is rooted in an insecurity that my partner has about where my attention is going and what I like. But we have to come together and we have an understanding that even though me liking somebody's photo doesn't necessarily mean anything, I'm not going to do that because I know how that affects her emotionally. So I say that to say there are boundaries that we put in place, even in healthy relationships, that are rooted in insecurity, and we still need to have conversations about those. So I think it's interesting to me to see people saying that Jonah Hill is misusing the word boundaries. He's only setting forth demands because they're rooted in insecurity, when actually a lot of the things that we put in place on monogamous relationships are rooted in insecurity. Exactly.
And more than that, dude, a healthy relationship is understanding each other's boundaries and kind of navigating past each other's insecurities and not wanting to trigger those insecurities. And if you are grounded within yourself, and like, I think speaking about your insecurities, especially in a relationship, is part of setting your boundaries. Is to say, hey, listen, this triggers me in this manner. When you wear this sort of attire, it triggers me in this manner. We just had a conversation. We just saw something recently last week where Keke Palmer's guy was like, yo, I don't like this outfit, right? And granted that the messenger all the way wrong with that one, but like the message is not one that I think is particularly is an unreasonable conversation to have about like what are actually your boundaries around attire and what are you comfortable with. Some men are very comfortable, like myself, being around very beautiful women who dress in a manner that makes them comfortable, right? And are not afraid to be able to show off what it is that they're wearing. That's okay, you know. But even with my ability to, even with my, you know, capacity for something like that and comfortability, there still are actual boundaries that I'm just like, actually, personally, this is not like an attire that I think would represent a person that I choose to be with for a long time. And I don't think there's anything wrong with being able to have those boundaries set up.
Right. And to another question we got in the comments, right? Are all boundaries derived from insecurity? I don't think all boundaries are derived from insecurity. Some people's boundaries are derived from past experiences where they were actually harmed in a certain way. I'll give an example, right? Some people don't like when their partner raises their voice, right? And that could be because a previous partner was verbally abusive. That could be because a previous partner was physically abusive, and it started with raising a voice. It could have to do with household dynamics. But if I'm with that person and me raising my voice doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to get physical or that I'm going to be verbally abusive. But if their boundary is, hey, when you raise your voice, I think about the times previously where I was harmed, I don't necessarily think that's insecurity. I think that is somebody's dealing with their trauma, and you as their partner should be able to work on yourself and respect that. It's complicated, man. It's really complicated. But I think a deeper part of this issue and why Jonah Hill is getting the reaction he's getting is because women are tired. Women have been physically abused. They've been attacked. They've been gaslit. And so anything that even smells like that, right, elicits this very severe response. And for good reason, because we don't pay enough attention to women, especially women of color. But I think what's missing is this idea of a more sensitive, more emotionally available, emotionally intelligent man. How does that man express his feelings that have to do with negative associations with their partner without being disrespectful or controlling. I don't think we have the blueprint for what that open, emotionally intelligent man, how does that person critique their interactions with females? I don't think we know what that looks like, and I think we struggle to digest it.
100%. Like, it's difficult for dudes to be able to speak about their insecurities, and quite frankly, it's difficult for dudes to understand that a lot of how they engage with women in particular is derived from their insecurities, and it's okay to have insecurities. I'll wrap this up with the quote that you say a lot that I absolutely love, and I repeat very often, which is that you cannot fix everything that you recognize about yourself. However, you definitely cannot fix those things that you don't recognize about yourself. And I think that part of that in this context is being able to acknowledge your insecurities and communicate them forward and set their boundaries. If someone wants to gauge that, that's okay. If somebody doesn't, then that's okay. Because there's also boundaries like being polyamorous. That's a boundary setting, right? There's boundaries such as swinging. There's all sorts of different boundaries that people put up. So instead of being somebody that wants to practice, let's say you want to be polyamorous or you want to have multiple partners, instead of hiding about that and doing that behind your partner's back, bring it out, set that forward. And I think using the tone and message in the tone and style that Jonah Hill said it, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
I feel you. Tonally, I think my man could have, because there's more, other than the list, there's more that he said. I think tonally, my man could have cleaned it up a little bit. But I think we do have to get to a point where we know, we acknowledge what does it look like for somebody to be emotionally vulnerable and to set forth the type of behavior they would like their partner to exhibit without, where's the line of being controlling and setting boundaries. And I don't think we've gotten quite there with this conversation as it's playing out online. But we're getting closer, I think, in our comments and with this family right here. So appreciate y'all for contributing and joining into this conversation. Let us know what y'all think. I think we're good on this one for now.
Yeah, definitely, man. And just to take the show to the next level, I will begin by sharing my one biggest insecurity, which is yeah, show mine.
What?
Yeah, show mine. I think I'm gonna share my biggest insecurity. Hell no. Hell no. Well,
Patreon only.
Getting into the some of the current news that we're getting into is that Hollywood is on strike again, man. The Writers Guild recently at the Barbie, so the Barbie movie came out, and a lot of the writers and the actors from the Barbie's movie were even absent, and they canceled the event. This is a big budget movie, one of the most big budget movies of the summer that's coming out. You know, summertime is blockbuster time, so this has been something that's been happening for a few months. We've already covered a bit of the Writers Guild again, but it seems like this part in time there's a lot more towards it, and it's also impacting a lot of different shows are getting canceled. You're seeing that the market for writers and how important they are to the backbone of entertainment is shrinking. So a lot's happening, dude. I don't know what they're gonna do. You know, it's a weird time for Hollywood. Jonathan Majors was supposed to be the next super villain, and now there's not even any writers to see how they can write him back from a tragic story of dying in a domestic abuse accident. You know, I don't know.
Yo, based on a true story. Yeah, it's interesting, right? So we heard about a month back that the writers were going on strike, and now the actors have joined them. So ain't nothing moving in Hollywood, right? Some independent films or filmmakers and studios who are outside of the union might continue to roll. There are still some projects being worked on internationally. But yeah, Hollywood is coming to a halt at what I think is a really interesting time for content. I feel like movies this year have really struggled. The only one that I can think of that really really hit was the Spider-Man joint. You know what I mean? In terms
Still
of like,
haven't seen it.
you got to see that, bro. That movie is
I can imagine.
for an animated movie. Like it's an animated movie that you can put up in quality right next to anything live action. I think that says a lot.
Did you cry through that one too?
I cried at the first Amazing Spider or the first Black Spider-Man. I ain't gonna lie. I ain't gonna hold you.
I don't think that's the actual name of the movie.
Black Spider-Man.
Yeah.
What is that? Into the Spider-Verse. Miles Morales. You feel me? I got the Miles comics around here somewhere.
Yeah, you do.
But when my boy jumped off the building, son, seeing that moment, son, of triumph for a Black Spider-Man, son. Yeah, I shed a thug tear in there. I think I might have been wearing a do-rag at that time too. You feel me?
You really like crying in durags, bro.
Yo, crying in do-rags. That's my next playlist coming soon. Check that out on all your DSPs. But yeah, so we're in an interesting moment, right? That's really the only movie that has hit. Guardians of the Galaxy did its thing, but for Marvel, that's supposed to be an automatic guarantee, and the last few have not hit. Streaming has an interesting role to play in that, and then a big source of contention around the upcoming strike is actually AI and the role that AI will play in writing content, in designing these big universes of movies. That's the fad now, is everything's in a universe, right? No movie stands by itself. It's in a universe of other movies. So it'll be really interesting to see how this develops, and really interesting to see how quickly they get back to work. Because with no writers or no actors, your Netflix, your Hulu, your HBO Max is going to dry up real quick.
And part of the issue with the Writers Guild, especially in this particular instance, is that the size of how much the largest movies can make has really expanded significantly. We've seen numerous billion-dollar franchises come on board. You've got your Star Wars, you've got your Avatar. You have a lot of movies that are putting up significant numbers in, right? So the top part and the cap on how much movies are making are getting significantly bigger. But the baseline salary rate for writers has not really changed, right? So you've seen this increase in how much movies can make, but like writers' base bare minimum, even in big movies, doesn't necessarily go up. That's part of the things that they're busy striking about. The actors are also getting a part of it, saying that their working conditions are quite horrible. You're seeing that actors don't really have life insurance. Actors don't really have any workers' compensation. There's the Writers Guild union, but the actors union is not something that's necessarily out. So you're seeing a lot of people go through like this very difficult thing of the top, they get the exceed, but everything else who is below, underneath the top and to the bottom are completely left open. And that's what they're fighting for, as well as the AI.
Yeah, word. Tom Cruise said, I ain't going to be running on the side of buildings and jumping motorcycles off cliffs without no life insurance. You feel me? There's actually a few like really dark jokes I could have made about that. But
just make one.
No, we'll skip over those. Hold your head, Alec Baldwin. But can I hate? Can I hate for a little bit?
Go ahead, bro. Get your
hate. And I don't really know what I'm talking about here, but this is a thought that occurred to me that I wanted to share with the people. Right? It's like, yo, I'm all for
alert.
Yeah, yo, I'm all for creatives. I'm all for. I think writing is one of the most supremely powerful callings and things that you can do. One of my favorite quotes of all time is that sometimes when you can't find the words to describe your experience, sometimes someone else has found them for you, and writing contributes to that in a huge way. But at the moment, here comes the hate, right? At the moment that all these writers are striking, I look across the landscape of movies in particular, and I'm not really sure how much new shit y'all are writing, considering every movie has been made before. Indiana Jones, 2020.
They're bringing it back.
Yes.
They're bringing it back.
Star Wars, Jurassic Park. Like,
Everything.
You know what I'm saying? Everything is a remake, right? Like, so it's really interesting having this moment, and writers need to get their bread for sure. But I wonder if we can build into this whole debacle a cap on remakes and reboots.
Yeah,
you
that's
feel
the
me?
protest I'm trying to go to, bro.
You feel me? Cause like I want to see original stories, and to your point, the ceiling of what movies can make now is so big, and studios are so competitive that they're doing nothing but swinging for home runs and then little side projects like they're bunting or they're swinging for straight home runs. And when you're swinging for a home run, a lot of times they're relying on content that people already know, the names and characters that people are already aware of. Look at the
Little
Barbie
Mermaid.
movie. You feel me? Like
Little Mermaid.
Little Mermaid. They're remaking Harry Potter for HBO.
Yeah, they are.
There's another one that they just announced.
Space Jam they redid.
Redid
White
Space
Man Can't
Jam.
Jump they just redid. It's disgusting, dude. I think they're also gonna redo what's that heist movie with the females?
But the females, I mean, that Ocean's 13.
Nah,
What was that?
not that one. The one with the Queen Latifah.
Oh, Mad Money.
No, not mad with
Oh,
Jada
Set
Pinkett
It
Smith.
Off.
Set it off. Set it off.
Dang, they gonna remake. They need to stop, man. They did White Man Can't Jump. That movie was trash. The remake
Yeah,
of
they
White Man
remade
Can't
it.
Jump.
Yep.
Terrible.
Listen, dude, we can sit here and talk about this the whole time. We got a few more different things to get into as well with our quick hits. But is there any point on the Writers Guild you'd like to make before we move on?
Nah, man. You know, despite that little hate, had to get that hate off my chest. But nah, we do support creatives. There's gonna be a drought. It seems like coming up. But I was telling Zway, you got to check out that Champion on BBC. That's fire. And while this whole strike thing blows over, me and my shorty, we're watching Living Single. We just running back Living Single reruns. Then we gonna move to Martin, and hopefully by then the movies are back. So
Nice. Are you guys gonna skip over the part where Martin had abused Tesha Campbell, or are you guys just gonna keep it pushing?
that's up to her. If she's offended, I'm offended.
And that is how you support women. All right, brother, let's get into some quick hits, man. That's the part of the show where we take questions from people who are watching the show. We take questions throughout the week. Anything that people DM us privately or ask us, we bring it to the show and we bring it over to folks. This week, one of those questions are: How worried are you guys about extreme weather events happening all over the world?
I am worried. I am extremely worried. Not least of all because it was tornadoes in Chicago this week. 5 or 6 of them things touched down in the city, which is unusual to say the least. This comes after we had the worst air quality in the world a couple weeks ago due to wildfires in Canada. And all of that in the midst of record-setting days of the hottest day in the history of days. Period. So
Ever.
I'm concerned, bro. How are you feeling?
I'm warm, dude. I'm a bit warm here in Cape Town. You know, it's usually really cold around these times, but the weather's been quite allowing, you know, and that's like the other side of this climate change coin, dude, is that some folks get warmer winters and others get more tornadoes.
Word. Well, I'm glad that you're experiencing the safer effects of climate change. But
That's just for now. It snowed in Johannesburg for the first time in 12 years recently. I mean, look, dude, if you've seen the movie This Is the End, that's all that's happening. But this is what I believe, right?
that's all. Just the end. Just the end, y'all.
This- but this is what I believe, right? I think that this rock that we're on has been through numerous cataclysmic climate change events. That's not even a belief. That's a fact. You know, if you do
Watch Ice
you
Age, another fantastic animated film, historically
which is
accurate.
it's a documentary. Historically accurate.
Yo, DreamWorks, Ice Age.
Yes, you can watch the historically accurate DreamWorks motion picture Ice Age for reference of some of those cataclysmic events, but it's real, right? So I don't think the rock will ever break as we think. I think we can break given what we do to this rock. And there's many different things that I think humans, bro. If this was us on a train, I think no matter how many times you tell people that another train is coming to hit us, we wouldn't care, bro. We're a society that only deals with crisis in the moment, and then we get forgetful.
Damn. You know, there's a film that captures that entire sentiment perfectly, but it stars Jonah Hill, so I can't recommend it. But for those of y'all who don't care about cancel culture, check out Don't Look Up. Because it talks about
So
that,
good.
yeah, that exact reluctance to confront reality that we have as humans. And the reality is crazy, son. So shout out to those folks in Vermont, man. Vermont had crazy flooding, crazy rains. They this is gonna be messed up, but they Vermont is known for its temperate weather and recently declared that it was one of the states that was the best to move to avoid climate change.
Nice. How did that go for him?
Yeah, no, record flooding. Record flooding. Got a little too cocky on that one.
So for any of y'all that moved to Vermont to be safe from weather change,
Hold your head.
bad choice. Bad choice. Bad choice.
Other examples of wild and ridiculous weather. Phoenix, Arizona sat at 110 degrees or more for
For
12
those that
days.
don't know, in Celsius, that's 41 degrees Celsius.
For 12 days.
41, bro. That's like desert weather.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's
Oh, 'cause it is
that's
the desert.
intense. That is the desert. And water off the coast of Florida was recorded as being 90 degrees.
That would be great.
Can you imagine running to the beach?
That would be great to swim in. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yo, they turned the coast of Florida into the world's biggest hot tub. You know, checks and balances with this climate change thing.
Hey man, look, we'll figure out what happens. Like, and the sad thing is too is that it has to be big corporate that decides to make the change. You know, a lot of what's happening is very big corporate related. But I do trust that in our lifetime we will find the next set of technologies that are going to be very valuable and also grow in popularity, are those that look at cleaning um at cleaning the environment and at that sort of thing. I think like uh think about, you know, those Hoover machines that like just vacuum the floor. You'll have something like that, but for the ocean, you know, and they're already creating things like that. Not to be confused
Yo.
with the submarine,
Come on,
which
son.
decided to be a Hoover be a Hoover vacuum at the bottom of the ocean. Very different concept.
Very different.
Oh, that's what they were trying to do.
Oh, dang.
Clean sweep. All right, man. Let's get into some. Let's get into the last part of the show where we talk about that hip hop.
Yes, sir. Yes.
Quick question:
Yeah.
who told you bad man don't dance?
Yeah. Word. Take a sip and dance.
Yeah. Even with the wet, come on. What we talking about?
Big vibes, man. Big vibes. We're talking about J Hus following up the well-received Common Sense, another studio album, Beautiful and Brutal Yard. Quick listen, man. Quick listen. Just about an hour. Some very high profile features on this thing. J Hus been rapping, been really rapping for a while, and I think this is a statement piece of how he can do what a lot of people are making money off of right now. I see Stormzy making money off of this style, Dave making money off of this style. J Hus jumps in, comes with that balance of real rap and very popular features, well executed. I dug this. Vibey listen.
My UK mandem would be the first to tell you that J Hus was one of the first people who was with that style, and not that he is copying what Stormzy and them are doing, but the other way is that they are copying what J Hus has been doing for a very long time. When Common Sense came out, It's hard to like even contextualize what a summer in the UK without J Hus is like. Like J Hus is the king of UK summers. When almost like clockwork, you can guarantee that J Hus is gonna keep a banger in the tuck for the summer, and he's been doing that for the last couple of summers. I remember when Common Sense came out, that was the first time I had a J Hus UK experience. It's a whole thing, man. It really is just what everyone unanimously agrees is the best thing to listen to and people enjoy. I think this album isn't very far from him understanding the space that he occupies within that hip hop space, especially when you listen to some of the features and who's there. You've got Burna Boy, you've got Naira Marley. Clearly, he's tapping into a summer sound and a dancing sound. Even that Drake, that "Who told you man don't dance?" That's a summer bop. Drake's verse on that. How you feel about it? Whatever, dude. I don't care. But this particular album is very intentional. It's very, very intentional. It's feeding the streets.
Yeah, it's interesting too. He gets his chameleon on this one too, because there's tracks. Even one of my favorite joints, that Massacre, that track too. That's heat. Man is very intentionally putting together the bars on that one, and then the switch to Who Told You, still a very summertime sound, but you can tell he's takes his foot off the gas in terms of that lyricism, just creating something vibey, perfect for a Drake feature. I think his ability to be comfortable demonstrating his rapping ability, and then his ability to switch to just making the song that the beat demands, is very impressive. I think a lot of rappers who have that lyrical ability struggle not to go super lyrical, even on the vibey songs, and at the same time struggle to create those hooks and just kind of that effortless type of music that's all over this project. So my man is balanced, and he sounds good next to Burna Boy. Sounds great next to Naira Marley. Yeah, definitely a little bit. It's interesting. The front half and back half of this album sounded very different to me.
Yeah, look, it's got that J Hus Naira Marley Militarians from the. We've rinsed that song already in this household. I'm sure that song has just been on a loop since it came out. We heard it, we knew for a fact this is a certified banger, and that's what it is. The Badman track with Drake, I'd love J Hus's portion of that. I think Drake does what Drake does. Say things that make people repeat, which is a skill set. Even if you find it corny, it is going to get repeated. And if he's playing a live show and he stops right before his first verse, everyone's going to know that first verse. And that's Drake's skill set. That's what he knows how to do. Corny, not corny. Saying things that people can repeat or will repeat is that man's superpower as a rapper. And he does that on that track as well. So J Hus knows what he's doing. It's not my favorite J Hus album. I think Common Sense was almost like from top to bottom, just almost no skips on that last album. And this to me is a step down from that delivery, but the high points in this, I'm a very big fan of.
Yeah, same. Massacre, Militarian, Masculine, Freshwater, Playing Chess, highlights.
Nice. What are we giving this out of 5?
Trey 5, little Trey 5.
A 3 out of 5?
Yeah, Trey, I would say 3.5. 3.5, this is vibey enough.
3.5 out of 5. And we'd like to remind everybody that's on SoundCloud, man. Shout out to our SoundCloud folks who tune in just for the record review session that we put out. We also got playlists that we're going to start putting up on SoundCloud as well.
Crying My Do-Rag, coming soon.
Crying and Do-Rags also coming soon, man. We appreciate everybody because we know.
Yeah, man, we know y'all could be anywhere in the world. Y'all could be listening to that new J Hus. Y'all could be listening to that Grandson, that King Von. But y'all are tuned in and listening to us, and we appreciate that so much. This space is important to me. It's important to my brother to share, to try and figure things out. So we appreciate all the feedback and the commentary this episode, helping us try and figure out what's going on in the world, how to be better communicators, better boundary setters, better men. And we hope that this show makes you feel better, helps you better yourself as well. This is a celebration of celebrating. It's a celebration of life. It's a celebration of how good it feels to be in the midst of another J Hus summer. Don't it feel good, Sway?
I love it.
Bad man do dance, in case y'all were wondering. Go out there, dance, eat something delicious, hug somebody you love.
Yeah, I get that, but is we live though? Is we